Have you ever looked up at the night sky and wondered what it would be like if the moon just wasn't there? I'm not talking about a cloudy night or a new moon. I mean gone. Vanished. It sounds like something out of a science fiction movie, right? But for one small, isolated village, this wasn't fiction. This was their reality for one terrifying night. This is the story of Oakhaven, the village that lost its moon. Oakhaven is a place you've probably never heard of. It's tucked away deep in a valley, surrounded by ancient forests and mountains that scrape the clouds. Life there is simple, dictated by the seasons and the sky. The moon isn't just a light in the sky for the people of Oakhaven. It's a clock, a calendar, and a constant, comforting companion. Generations have told stories under its glow. Farmers have planted by its phases, and lovers have whispered promises beneath its silvery watch. The moon is woven into the very fabric of their lives. So imagine the confusion, the sheer disbelief. On the evening of October 12th, 1987, the sun had set, painting the sky in hues of orange and purple. Villagers finished their dinners, kids were getting ready for bed, and people started stepping outside, expecting to see the familiar, near-full moon beginning its ascent over the eastern ridge. But there was nothing, just an unsettling, inky blackness where the moon should have been. At first, people didn't panic. They blamed the clouds, even though the stars were twinkling with crystal clarity. Old Man Hemlock, the village's self-proclaimed weather expert, squinted at the sky, scratched his beard, and declared, "Just a strange patch of high-altitude haze. It'll pass." But it didn't pass. An hour went by, then two. The sky remained stubbornly, unnervingly empty. That's when a different kind of quiet fell over Oakhaven. Not the peaceful quiet of a normal night, but a heavy, anxious silence. Dogs that usually barked at moon shadows were silent. The nocturnal creatures of the forest were eerily still. It was as if the whole world was holding its breath. The village square, usually empty after dark, began to fill with people. They gathered in small, hushed groups, their faces lit only by the faint starlight and the warm glow from their lanterns. They all had the same question in their eyes. Where is the moon? This wasn't just a celestial anomaly. It felt personal. It was like a friend who had promised to visit and simply never showed up. Without the moon's light, the familiar paths of the village became treacherous. The forest that bordered the town, usually a place of serene beauty under the moonlight, transformed into a wall of impenetrable darkness, filled with unseen shapes and imagined dangers. The world felt smaller, claustrophobic. As the night wore on, the initial confusion morphed into a primal fear. The village elders, keepers of ancient lore, were consulted. They gathered in the old town hall, poring over dusty books and faded maps, searching for any prophecy or legend that spoke of a moonless night. They found tales of angry sky gods and celestial spirits, stories that had been dismissed as children's fables for centuries. But on this night, they didn't seem so far-fetched. Was this a punishment? An omen? Meanwhile, the children were perhaps the most affected. They couldn't understand the science or the skepticism. To them, the moon was a friendly face in the sky. A little girl named Lily, clutching her father's hand, kept asking, "Did we do something to make the moon sad? Is it hiding from us?" Her innocent question echoed the unspoken fear in every adult's heart. Had they somehow broken a cosmic rule? The absence of the moon had physical effects too. The tides in the nearby river, which usually flowed with a predictable rhythm, became erratic. Fishermen reported strange, sluggish currents. Farmers worried about their crops. They had always planted certain things according to the lunar cycle, a practice passed down through generations. Without the moon, they lost their ancestral knowledge rendered useless. It was a stark reminder of how interconnected everything is. As midnight approached, the atmosphere grew even more tense. Some villagers started to light bonfires, a desperate, symbolic gesture to call the moon back, to offer their own light to the darkened sky. They sang old folk songs, hymns to the lunar goddess their ancestors once worshipped. It was a moving sight, a community, stripped of its celestial guide, coming together in a shared ritual of hope and fear. But the most bizarre part of the night was yet to come. Around 2 in the morning, a strange, low humming sound began to emanate from the forest. It wasn't an animal, and it wasn't the wind. It was a deep, resonant vibration that you could feel in your chest. Some brave souls, armed with lanterns and old hunting rifles, ventured to the edge of the woods, but they couldn't see anything. The sound seemed to come from everywhere and nowhere at once. This, combined with a missing moon, pushed the village to the edge of panic. Was this an invasion? A secret military experiment? A supernatural event? Theories flew wildly through the crowd. The rationalists argued it had to be a unique atmospheric phenomenon, perhaps volcanic dust from a distant eruption creating a shadow in the atmosphere, perfectly obscuring the moon from their specific valley. It was a plausible, scientific explanation. But it didn't feel right. It didn't explain the humming, or the dead silence of the animals, or the deep, unsettling feeling that something was fundamentally wrong with the world. The night seemed to stretch on for an eternity. People huddled together for warmth and comfort, sharing stories, prayers, and a growing sense of dread. They were completely cut off. Remember, this was 1987. No internet, no cell phones. Their single landline out of the valley had mysteriously gone dead earlier in the evening. They were alone with their darkness. And then, just as the first hint of dawn began to touch the eastern horizon, something happened. The strange humming sound slowly faded away, and as if a switch had been flipped, there it was. The moon, pale and faint against the approaching daylight, but undeniably there, exactly where it was supposed to be. A collective gasp swept through the village, followed by cheers and cries of relief. People hugged each other, tears streaming down their faces. The little girl, Lily, pointed and shouted, "It's back!" The moon came back. The nightmare was over. When the sun finally rose, the world looked the same. But everyone in Oakhaven was different. The official explanation that came days later via a crackly radio report was unsatisfying. A rare confluence of atmospheric lensing and a localized magnetic anomaly. A 1 in a billion event. It explained the visual disappearance, and maybe even the dead phone line. But it didn't explain the humming. It didn't explain the behavior of the animals, and it didn't explain the profound feeling of loss and terror that had gripped an entire village. To this day, the people of Oakhaven don't fully accept the official story. The elders believe they witnessed something ancient and powerful. Take a the night of the great silence. They say the sky spirit simply took the moon for a short while, as a reminder to not take its gifts for granted. Whether it was a bizarre natural event or something far stranger, the night the moon vanished left an indelible mark on the village. They look at the moon differently now, with a deeper sense of reverence and gratitude. It's a powerful story about how much we rely on the constants in our lives, and how terrifying it is when one of them is suddenly taken away. It makes you wonder, what would you do if you looked up tonight and the moon was simply gone? Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this journey into the unexplained, don't forget to like this video and subscribe for more stories that challenge our reality. See you next time.